Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi Shrali Sadri, Vayassirli Amri, Wala Lugdata Milisani Fawqali, Rabbi Zidnilma. Today we are here to study or to revise one more chapter, chapter 2, that is data transmission. What will we revise here? We are going to revise the methods of data transmission, and here we will talk about data packets, the structure of data packets, which is very, very important from examination point of view. We'll also talk about the concept of packet switching, the advantages and disadvantages, the terms serial parallel, simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. Besides this topic, USB, a misconcept of many people that what they call as USB and what is actually USB. So that will be revised also, inshallah, today. Moving to the next topic of this chapter, that is error detection. A lot of questions are coming from this topic that we'll talk about, like parity, checksum, echo check, ARQs, etc. And lastly, the very, again, an important topic, and that is encryption. What is encryption and what are the types of encryption? So these are the topics that we will be covering, inshallah, today under chapter number 2. So first thing is data packets. Now, what is data packet and why do we need packets? So first thing is, rather than sending the entire file as one, maybe the size is too big, what is done by the computer, it is broken into pieces, and those pieces are called the packets. Because packets are easily to be transmitted from one place to another as compared to sending the entire file. Just think from this perspective, like if I talk about you, maybe if I'm talking about shifting, I want to shift from one place to another. So we do the packing. And when the packing is being done, what is done? Is it all the material is packed together, or do we break it into different cartons? Yes, what happens normally? Do we put everything in one very big carton, or do we make small cartons and then we transmit the materials? What is normally happening? Yes, you can write in the chat if you want. You can speak like everything is possible. We prefer to break into packets, isn't it? We break into cartons. Similarly, rather than sending the entire file, we are going to send the data into pieces, into packets, and that is what is called packet. What are the components of the packet, or you can say the structure of a data packet? So you need to remember the first component is packet header. The second component is the payload, that is the actual data. And thirdly, it is the packet trailer, that is containing CRC, and which is a sort of error detection technique. And it is also containing a way of identifying the end of the data packet. So these are the three main terms that you need to know about the packets. What are packets composed of? Packet header, payload, and the packet trailer. What is in the header? Like you can see the IP address, and remember the term IP address of the sender, IP address of the receiver, the sequence number of the packet, and this sequence number is important because through this, the receiving computer will be able to reassemble or put them in the right order. And besides this, it will also be like this is needed just to make just to make it easier for the receiving to put them in a one piece. Think from I'll give you an example. Maybe I'm handing over a few notes to you. These notes are formed of maybe 5 to 6 pages. If the pages are not numbered, so it will be too difficult for you to put them in the right order. So what we do is we are going to put them into order. We are going to put them the page numbers there so that it is easier for you to put them in the right order. Otherwise, if they get jumbled up, it will become difficult. Similarly, the same case happens with the packet header. It is containing the beginning. The beginning is containing the IP address of the sender, IP address of the receiver. It is also containing the packet size, and along with that, just a mean to ensure that the packets are reassembled in the right order. Got it? Completely? Yes. Any questions? Now, moving to the next thing, another term that was very important that we need to know is the term router. And what is a router? This is what is very important. Okay, routers are simply the intelligent devices, and they know the best possible path to reach the destination. For example, I'll again quote an example for this to happen. For example, there is a driver, and there's an intelligent driver who knows that which path is occupied too much or which path has a lot of traffic. So he takes me through different, I can say, through different lanes, etc., and I'm reaching the destination faster. So he is working like a router. So what you need to remember regarding packet switching is the job of the router, and this router is knowing the best possible path to reach the destination. And besides this, concept of router, which is able to divide the path to know which possible path to be taken, which path is unoccupied, which path is too busy. That concept is called packet switching. One very important thing regarding packet switching is you need to know the process of how packet switching works. The hop number is also included in this packet switching process, because see, from this perspective, like for example, if there are 10 packets that are made, so what do you think, will those 10 packets be transmitted in the same manner? Definitely they will be taken through different routes. Maybe one route that was taken by packet number 4, for example, was faulty, or something has gone wrong. So, or maybe the connected computer or the receiving computer has developed some faults, so the packet does not reach the destination. In that case, what is very important is the hop number is going to be there till how many hops will be taken before the packets are reaching the destination. So this is the whole concept of packet switching, where data packet can take a different route. Remember that that is the job of the router. Each route is independent of each other, like they are taking different routes. Since data packets take different routes, they could arrive at the destination in the wrong order. Remember, this is one of the problems, I should say, one of the limitations, I should say, of packet switching, that the destination may not receive the packets in the same order. That's why the importance of the packet numbers that are mentioned in the packets. A sequence number in the packet header allows all the packets to be reassembled in the right order at the receiving stations. Hop numbers are added to packets so that they ensure that they are not bounced back. What is hop number? For example, I was just telling you, maybe one packet was not able to reach the destination. So if the packets are not having a hop number, what will go wrong is they will keep on bouncing back because they're not reaching the destination. So think from this perspective, that assume in such a manner that, for example, if I've sent something to my friend, and maybe my friend has shifted her home from the current location. So the packet should not keep on hopping. It should come back to me, or maybe it is going to be just said, okay, it is not received by the receiver. Same case happens in the real environment, in data transmission also, and that is called the whole process of packet switching. One question that can come in the paper is and that has come in the paper is, they can give you the whole diagram to be drawn. And again, I'll show you a few questions, that the same activity that we did in the previous class, that they say this was a very good answer and this was an average answer or low level answer. So just be very cautious. If they ask you to draw a diagram, you will simply draw one sender, another receiver, and then you will draw different packets, and they are going to take different routes to reach the destination. So this is how you can answer with respect to drawing and annotating a diagram. Now, very quick discussion of the benefits. There's no need to tie up a single communication line. Like, since the routes are many, that's why we are not tying up, or we are not consuming one single line, one single channel. It is possible to overcome failed, busy, or faulty lines by simply rerouting packets. That is a very, very important thing. Since we are taking different paths, we are taking different routes. So that is why they can reach the destination in an organized manner. Relatively easy to expand package use. A high data transmission rate is possible. So as compared to other types that you will study later, here the packet switching is efficient in that manner, because we can send the data a little faster as compared to any other mean. Apart from the advantages, we have a few drawbacks. Packets can be lost and need to be resent. The method doesn't work well with real-time streaming. And what is real-time streaming? For example, let me add about the term real-time streaming. You can see here a live sporting event being transmitted over the internet. Anything that is happening, maybe any event, any thing that is happening, so that is shown to you live using the internet. That is called real-time streaming. There's a delay at the destination while the packets are being reordered. That is just a very clear disadvantage that we can see here, because there will be always a delay at the destination because the packets need time to be reassembled. This is a brief discussion of packets, packet switching, the drawbacks and the benefits. And then let's talk about a question, sample questions and answers, the same activity as we did for chapter number one. A video conference is taking place between delegates in the US and and Mauritius. Packet switching is used to send video and sound data between delegates. Describe the potential problems with sound and video quality, how the problems in part A could be overcome. Now, here we can see there is one in the beginning, a sample high level answer, and then below it's a low level answer. So, what the student had written or what the student should write to gain 6 marks with the teacher's good comments also. First thing is you need to know video conferencing. Video conferencing is real time. And real time means something that is happening just then. For example, right now, we are real time. If, for example, some problems have occurred in your understanding, then you can simply raise the question even in either in chat or maybe just by unmuting yourself, and I'll be able to answer because it is real time stream, the real time happening. Similarly, video conferencing is real time. Video and audio is split into data packets before it is sent over the internet. Remember, packets are made before being sent over the internet. This means that each packet could potentially follow a different route from delegate to delegate. Data packets could therefore take different times from sender to recipient, or some may even become lost. The arriving packets also need to be reassembled into the correct sequence, which can also cause a time delay. All of this could lead to gaps in data received, freezing of images, dropout or voice and mouth out of synchronizations. Think from yourself if you have ever seen any live, maybe some event has is occurring, or just the recent happenings of the in the political scenario. So sometimes it happens that one person is in the studio and the other person is sitting in that area. So the person who is sitting in the studio says, ask the person to repeat. And that repeat is only needed because that is real time streaming. Sometimes we can see the person speaking, but we cannot hear him. And then the anchor asks the person to speak again. So this is all happening in real time. So the same is explained by the student in such an organized way. You can see the sequence is also very important. First, talking about the video streaming, video conferencing is what? Then talking about the packets being made, then sending it over the internet and taking different routes. And it may happen that it may not reach the destination in the same order. The packets may be lost also while they are being transmitted. So this whole discussion is going to be giving the good impression on the examiner that the child knows how to answer. Arriving packet also needs to be reassembled into the correct sequence, which also can cause a time delay. All of this could lead to gaps in data received, freezing of images, dropout, or voice. So this is a very clear explanation that you can see for yourself. You may have observed yourself, and this is going to definitely give the student very good 6 out of 6. Now, how the problem can be overcome? Since the problems seem to be due to timing issues, the best solution would be to eliminate these time differences. A single path for all data packets would resolve this, that could be achieved using a dedicated communication link between delegates. See, now this is what the student had written based on the understanding of the word, of the thing that it's using one channel. And if, for example, you are talking about this once, what he understood, although this was not told to him as such in the discussion, or maybe that is just understanding based. So remember, your paper may contain one or two questions, or maybe one or two marks that are going to be understood by very few of you, and they are determining the student who is a high achiever. So just be very cautious whenever you are reading the questions, understand them, and then attempt them. Do not start attempting the very first go. So this is what the child has understood. What can be done? We can see the problems are because of the time delay. So when we can use a dedicated line, we can use a dedicated line. And this concept is actually called circuit switching, which is not understood by you people. This is not a part of your syllabus, but maybe some child has read somewhere circuit switching. So if he writes that, it will be considered as a right answer also. Now, if you see the low level answer, sometimes you get echo or lag on the sound, or it may even drop out on occasions. Video and sound do not always synchronize, where a person's lips do not match with the words heard. Sometimes the images are also freezing. So he is not explaining it, and beside this, he didn't see the 6 mark. You need to always assess the question, look at the marks, and then decide how will I go about to score full marks. For the second part, this can be overcome using better cameras and microphones and getting a faster internet connection. So you can see this is explained like teacher's comments. First answer shows that the student has realized the connection between video conferencing and packet switching. They have correctly referred to lost packets or packets out of order as a reason where they cannot be where they can have some issues. The solution of using circuit switching, a dedicated route, is the kind of answer you would expect from a top level answer. It goes slightly beyond the capacity or beyond the syllabus, but still, the way I said, maybe some child has read it somewhere, so definitely he will be able to gain some decent marks because of this understanding. Any questions regarding anything till now before I proceed to the low level answers? Why that is a low level answer? Second answer hasn't made the link between video conferencing and packet switching, but they have mentioned some of the problems that can occur without mentioning how or why they occurred. Answer would gain 2 of the available marks in part A. 1 mark could also be awarded in part B for suggestion. That's all. See, 6 marks here and six marks here. See, he's only scoring 2 and 1. It means that he's losing nearly 30%, 50% marks. Okay, fine. Are you clear about this? Now, there are a few exam style questions which you can attempt for your benefit if you really want, and that will really give you a very good experience of the whole topic. So, and if there are no questions, may I proceed to the next topic? Any questions? Anything that is unclear? Okay. No answer means everything is well understood. So let's move to the next very important concept that is coming repeatedly in our paper, that is data transmission. First thing is the modes. And what are the modes? Whenever there's the term mode, we need to talk about the three modes, which are simplex, half-duplex, and full-duplex. Like for example, if I say simplex, it simply means one direction. Like for example, sender sending the data to a printer. Okay, and along with that, there are a few other examples, like talking about the radio or the television or the loudspeaker. They all are examples of simplex because they are one way. The direction is always from the sender to the receiver. The receiver is not sending any signal back to the sender, and that is why it is considered to be simplex mode of transmission. Half-duplex, data can be sent in both directions, but not at the same time, not simultaneous. And the best example is walkie-talkie. And you can even talk about, just to make you understand, like talking about we people, whenever we are having a conversation, when one person is speaking, the other is silent. And that is again an example of half-duplex. Half-duplex means both directions, but not at the same time. And full-duplex is both directions at the same time. So just let me highlight that you will remember how will I score 2 marks. If they say simplex defined and it's a 2 mark question, I'll say in one direction only, data can be sent in one direction only, that will give me 1 mark. Data can be sent in both directions, but not at the same time. This will give me 2 marks. And if I mention the example, that will be the cherry on the top. So if you say this, if you just give the example, see, I'm just at the moment talking about how can I land into a high level answer. So if it's a simplex question, I mean, data is sent in one direction only from sender to receiver. Perfect. But if you really want, you can mention the example like sending data from a computer to a printer. You can even talk about television. You can say the radios, televisions, loudspeakers, they all are examples of simplex communication. Half duplex is walkie-talkie, and full duplex is your broadband internet connection, because you can see for yourself, broadband is two-way. It's sending as well as receiving. That's why it is an example of your full duplex communication. So be very clear. Whenever it is modes, you need to mention clearly, or in other words, if they are talking about the term direction, let me highlight the term direction. Very important. The term direction. So when they say direction, I mean you need to talk about simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. And when it comes to number of bits being transmitted, so then you need to talk about the term serial and parallel. Then you can say, take care now. There's one. Serial means data is sent one bit at a time over a single wire. So one bit will give you one mark, and over a single wire will give you another mark. So just be clear. This is how you will be able to gain 2 out of 2. One bit will give you another one mark, and down a single wire channel is going to give you the second mark. And they have made you, and remember, do not use the word cable instead of wire. So they are very, very particular because cable is something different in communication. That's why they are asking you not to use the word cable rather than using wire. Fine. Example, best example of this is USB. And the word serial is hidden in the letter S here. USB, Universal Serial Bus. Parallel, as the name implies, several bits of data are sent over several wires or channels at the same time. Each wire transmits each bit, for example, transmitting data using the internal circuits of a computer. So when you talk about the internal circuits, they are always working parallel. They're always doing the parallel transmission. Now, just to be clear, just by looking at the definitions, I think it is giving you a very clear idea about the advantages and disadvantages. So you can see serial is secure because it is one bit at a time that is being transmitted. I assume in such a manner like normally I give the example whenever I'm delivering the topic in the classes. I say that assume that it's a Montessori class that is asked to move out of the room. So what happens? They move in a line, they move in a row, and that is basically serial transmission. So what advantages are? Data does not get skewed. Data is reaching the data does not get skewed means that the data is reaching in the right order. They are not going to be just moving here or there. Similarly, you can talk about the cost is reduced because there is only one wire that is being used, and definitely the disadvantages, it is going to be taking longer time. So you can see here features. Now just be clear, under features you need to analyze that which are the advantages and which are the disadvantages. Less risk of external interference than with parallel. That is an advantage. More reliable transmission over longer distances. Just remember that is longer distances. For longer, we want security of the data, so that is a better option. Transmitted bits won't be skewed or will not be reaching in the wrong order. Used if the amount of data being sent is relatively small, since transmission rate is slower than parallel. So you can see this being slower is basically a disadvantage. So if I just talk about this one, you can just assume that this one is a disadvantage. Used to send data over long distances, that is again a feature. Like for example, if they say explain, then you can mention it is used to send data over long distances. Less expensive than parallel is again an advantage. So in this manner, you can simply just remember and highlight, and you will be able to score also just by mentioning the right terminologies. So are we clear about this? This is also an advantage for us. Any questions regarding serial? Now moving to parallel, if no faster rate of transmission rate than serial, which makes them suitable for fast transmission. So just again, if you get a question that deals with your concern is the speed, so then you will talk about the parallel transmission. But if they say that your concern is not the speed and you want the security of the data, or cost is the major concern, then you will choose serial transmission, because once you have started solving the past papers, you will come across some questions which are a little bit tricky. Spend time, underline the keywords here, what they want you to answer, and then do it. Works well over shorter distances. So you can see here, this is better for shorter distances. Due to several wires being used, data can become skewed over long distances, or it is no longer synchronized. Easy to program input or output operations when parallel is being used. Preferred method when sending large amounts of data. The most appropriate transmission if data is time sensitive. See, I keep on telling, when time is the major concern, then you go for parallel. Requires more hardware, making it more expensive to implement than serial ports. Now they have used the word serial ports. No worries at all. Port is simply a place where you connect different things. So here, a serial port means a place where you're connecting the data, where you're connecting the different devices which are working on one bit at a time, or which are working serial. And now moving to, if there are no questions, then let me move to the next topic, and that is USB, Universal Serial Bus. And okay, now how the question can come in the paper. Let's talk about that. They can ask you to explain USB A or USB C. They can even ask you about the advantages and disadvantages of USB. So I'll tell you that what will be the trick in order to gain full marks. USB is a form of serial transmission. As I talked about earlier, the letter S is representing serial. It is the industry standard. When a USB is used to connect a device to a computer, now what is the advantage? Now you may have experienced a lot of devices that we use now. Maybe I have bought a new mouse. So I connect, whether it's wired or wireless, but I connect it to the USB port. And the advantage is I do not have to worry to install the device driver. I'm repeating, this device driver is a program that is needed to make the devices work. So if the drivers are not there, just think from this perspective that if the drivers are not there, so you will not be able to work on the vehicle. Similarly, if the device drivers are not there, the devices become non-functional. So the moment you connect a device to the USB port, the device drivers are installed automatically, and that is the biggest advantage of using the USB port. You don't have to worry at all about the device drivers. You do not have to worry at all about the software that is needed to make the devices work. It's the job of the USB port to detect the device drivers, install them, and let you start your work. So you can see the advantages. Again, it has come in the one of the recent papers. What are the advantages or disadvantages also? Devices plugged into the computer system are automatically detected and the device drivers are automatically loaded up. The way I said, connections can fit only one way, preventing incorrect connections being made. And let's see, we are talking about USB-A, not USB-C. This has become the industry standard, and becoming industry standard means support is available. Considerable support is available. Can support different data transmission rates. No need for external power source since cable is supplying plus 5 volts of power. USB protocol notifies the transmitter to retransmit data if any errors are detected. Relatively easy to add more USB ports if necessary by using the USB hubs. Backward compatible. So again, I suggest you, if you are sitting there for learning, just take the simple 2 to 3 advantages. I mean, again, okay, now just we are just learning the technique of scoring. In a 75 marks paper, if I'm able to score 60, 70, 60, 65, it means I'm in a safe zone. So you can see for yourself, devices plugged in, the very first point is easy, which is present in the beginning also. So I, as a student, will take this point. I, as a student, will maybe take this point. I, as a student, will be taking this point because I know that it is going to fit one way only, and that means it is preventing the incorrect connections being made. And if you really want the fourth one, then I will go for backward compatible. Keep yourself simple. Just learn the technique of being simple and scoring. So if you are just learning this technique, inshallah, nothing will be a problem for you, inshallah. Moving to the drawbacks, standard USB only supports a maximum cable length of 5 meters. Beyond that, USB hubs are needed to extend the cable. Now, that is a limitation. Even though USB is backward compatible, very early USB standards will still not be supported by the latest computers because of the changes that are being made. Even the latest version and the version 4 have a data transfer rate which is slower as compared to the Ethernet cable. Now, Ethernet is nothing to be confused with. Ethernet is not a part of the syllabus, but still they have mentioned because that is a revision study guide expecting the students to prepare for a very well-grounded answers. That's why, but just for the purpose of those who are just in the interest of learning, Ethernet is basically the protocol that is used on LANs or local area networks. So this is, again, you can see Ethernet is much faster as compared to the USBs. That is what they have mentioned here. So if you write it down as a part of the disadvantage, then that is going to give you an additional point. Now, another one is USB-C. I hope that we all must be aware of the term USB-C. So this USB-C is the latest one, is the latest USB connector, which is going to fit into a USB port either way around. And this is what is an advantage. No up or down orientation. It's usually 3.1 has been named USB-C to distinguish it from the earlier format, which is known as USB-A. So just be clear, if they give you a question that compare USB-A and USB-C, or write 2 differences between USB-A and USB-C. So this is what you can mention as a part of your answer. Much smaller and thinner, which suits the current trend in making the devices much thinner, offers 100 watts power as compared to the earlier one that we talked about, plus 5 volts, and here it is nearly giving you 20 volts. It can carry data at 10 gigabits per second, which means it can now support 4K video delivery. USB-C connection is backward compatible, means it is providing a suitable, like to USB 2.0 and 3.0, provided a suitable adapter is used. So one advantage again is they are still backward compatible. Now, this is the USB-C, and then we can see sample questions and answers. The way I said, this can come in the paper. So let's very quickly go through this sample answer for USB-A and USB-C. Both types of connectors. Now, see how the answer is started. Both types of connectors are backward compatible. Means whenever it is Walaikum Assalam. Walaikum Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Like, who is here? Okay, now moving to this one, we have the USB-C and USB-A comparison. Now, this is the trick that you need to know. See, when it is differences, that's okay. When it is say similarities, that's okay. But whenever they ask you to compare, be intelligent, and here you will compare by mentioning the similarities and the differences. So here we can see both types of connectors are backward compatible and have become the industry standard since USB cables are also supplying power. There is no need for external power supply. It is easy to add additional USB-A and USB-C ports using a USB hub. Just concentrate on the answer, the way it is being answered. Now later, the USB-C A connector can only fit one way. In the second paragraph, the child is talking about the differences. Whereas a USB-C connector is not orientated, data transfer rates using USB-C is considerably faster than for USB-A. Although both types are supplying power, are used for power supply, but USB-C allows 20 volts of power as compared to the earlier version. So this is going to be a very comprehensive answer to land you into like good 4 marks. With you can see this is comparison. You need to, this is see, you can see the tip. A comparison question means that you need to mention the similarities and the differences clearly. If you miss out anything, you will not be able to score. Any questions? This is something that I guess, see, this is why we are learning from the revision guide. We know the book, we know that whatever is there, but we are learning it from here. Moving to the next topic, and that is error detection. Again, a very, very important topic. Okay, now a few exam style questions are here for you to attempt and be confident about. Now, methods of error detection. First thing that you need to know is why the errors may occur. Definitely, when data is transmitted, errors may definitely occur. Errors may occur due to electrical interference. Errors may occur due to loss of data packets because of the loss of data packets, or maybe out of synchronization. The problem may occur because of skewing of data. This can again come in the paper, that they ask you to maybe state the reasons of errors during data transmission. So this is what they want the student to write. Errors due to electrical interference, errors due to packet switching problems, or errors due to skewing of data. Now, what the problems are, let's very quickly recap. Parity check, checksum, and echo check. I'm very quickly recapping parity. First thing is that you need to know is parity check or parity. Parity check is a method that is used to check whether data has been transmitted properly or whether it has been corrupted while transmission is taking place. It's very simple. Parity can either be even or odd. And whether it is even or odd, what is done is we are simply going to count the number of ones in the data byte. And in this, the byte is composed of 7 bits, and the 8th bit is your parity bit. Now, for example, if you have a setting of even parity, and the number of ones is 7. So since the parity setting is even, that is why a 1 will be added to make the number of ones an even number. If the parity setting is odd and the same 7 bits were transmitted, the same all ones are transmitted. So since the number of ones is an odd value, like the number of ones should be a 1, 3, 5, or 7. So if the number of ones is already an odd value, then a 0 will be added. So it's very simple. Questions can come. You can be given a byte to with some location that are not filled, and you are asked to find the parity bit. That's perfectly okay. So simple. Method, you know that you count the ones. If the setting is even and the number of ones is even, add a 0. Setting is even and the number of ones is odd, add a 1. If you talk about odd parity, excuse me, in odd parity, the number of ones again can counted. The number of ones is already an odd number, add a 0. If the number of ones is an even number, add a 1. I hope that there's no problem. Okay, now, I'm sorry. Problem with parity bit is if two bits have swapped their positions. If two bits have transposed their values, then the parity bit is not able to detect the problem. And you can think for yourself. Like, for example, just giving you this example. If, for example, this was the data that was sent, but it was received in such a manner that 1 came here and 0 came here. So you have learned in the previous class that this is definitely going to not give you the same answer. That is going to be a change in the data. And that is a problem. And what comes to my rescue then is a parity block. And how a parity block works, it's very simple. Let me tell you the method and how the questions are coming in the paper also. The method is simply we apply this parity bit calculation over the entire byte horizontally, and we apply the same parity bit calculation vertically for each column. And the intersection tells me that whether that particular which location is not meeting the criteria. So just telling you, if the even parity is being used, it means all the bytes should follow even parity. And similarly, all the bits should also follow even parity. So if there is a problem, it means that it's reflected, and that is going to be, for example, assume that this is going to be the problem area. And you can be asked to highlight the byte and the bit. You can be asked to talk about the problem area, like you will identify just by making a circle the way I have done it. And you can even be asked to correct the error. Another question that is coming in the paper, has come in the paper, is asking you, how have you reached this answer? So this is how we are getting questions regarding parity. And sometimes we are given the entire parity byte and we are asked that which byte has a problem. So just be a little cautious whenever you are answering such questions. Okay, fine. Any questions before we proceed to the next topic?